Hello.
And welcome to another episode 2.
Number 2.
Of COF.
COF.
Couple of Fools.
That's us. We're fools.
Yes,
We are.
Okay, so same format as last time
Same.
with game, education, game.
Yep. Game, education, game.
Mm-hmm.
Or as we like to call it,
Geg.
GEG.
Yes, we planned that.
We did, just
We've been working on the acronym for hours.
Hours and hours. That's why it's yep.
And so, since we're such an educational and professional channel,
That's us.
all of our games are mildly educational. So,
Yeah.
are extremely educational. And, so the first game that we will be playing today is Riddles. Basically, you have to answer riddles, but, well, especially Nick, I haven't seen many riddles, but you know what? I did pretty well when he asked me them yesterday, so
yeah.
that's good. But he only has 10 seconds to
Oh.
answer each riddle.
I didn't know this was the rule.
Mm-hmm.
I do now.
And that includes me saying it.
Oh.
No, it doesn't. But 10 seconds, and has to answer the riddle, and if he has to say something at the end, no matter what.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Okay.
Alright. Stopwatch or timer? We're
Stopwatch
gonna go
for sure.
reset. Okay. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna read it. Well, we said these already. A man who was outside in the rain without an umbrella or hat didn't get a single hair on his head wet. Why?
He was bald.
Correct. What gets wet while still drying?
A towel.
Correct. What can you keep after giving to someone?
Love. Your heart.
Your word.
I reckon my answer was pretty... Okay.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was going to be happiness.
Yeah.
I shave every day, but my beard stays the same. What am I? A dog. Oops. I just showed it to him.
The answer is
that
a barber.
was actually really sad, because that was one of the best ones.
Yeah, well,
we've had
I mean,
so far.
it's on you.
Yeah, it is.
You goofed.
I goofed. I done effed up.
You done F.
This is a children's channel.
Is it?
Apparently.
Okay.
You see a boat filled with people, yet there isn't a single person on board. How is that possible?
A boat filled with people, there isn't a single person on board. They're all under the deck.
All the people on the board are married.
A single person, that's clever.
Oh, that is clever.
I like that.
I was thinking under the deck as well.
Yeah. We're just so similar.
You walk into a room that contains a match, a kerosene lamp, a candle, and a fireplace. What would you light first?
The match.
The match. That's stupid.
That was stupid.
Yeah.
That was kind of dumb.
What?
Would you like me to ask you some?
Yeah.
Okay. They call me the riddle master. Do you know that?
Did they?
Yeah, they do.
Who's they?
Them.
Them.
That's the part of the riddle.
They,
you
them.
don't know.
Oh, bro.
A man dies of old age on his 25th birthday. How is this possible?
Leap year. Yeah.
Nah. I have branches, but no fruit, trunk, or leaves. What am I? That's easy.
Now you're stressing me out. Like a maths equation or something.
It will be a family tree. A bank?
A bank? Oh, that's terrible.
That's terrible.
Could be McDonald's.
Could be McDonald's. What can't talk but will reply when spoken to?
Siri. No,
3, 2, 1. You have to say something.
A frog.
An echo.
An echo.
A
That's
frog.
What? I don't know.
What frogs have you been talking to?
The
Echoes,
Princess
right?
and the Frog.
That's a Disney movie.
And when you talk to it, it goes, ribbit.
Remember at the start of this when you said you were actually quite good at them?
Yeah, well, I got one. No, I didn't, did I?
The more of this there is, the less you see. What is it?
Darkness?
Correct.
Yeah.
Riddles for kids.
Oh, yeah.
This might be more your speed.
Mm-hmm.
Davey's parents have you asked me this
David.
one.
Funny riddles. I saw that.
What has one eye but can't see?
A needle.
That's good. What has many needles but doesn't sew?
A haystack. Record player.
I feel like it's a
Christmas tree.
I was going to say porcupine.
Yeah.
What has hands but can't clap? Correct.
Thanks.
What has legs but doesn't walk?
No idea. Wait, no, that doesn't have
Doesn't
eyes.
have eyes.
What has legs but doesn't walk? Snakes. They actually
Snakes?
have really, really small legs that they haven't completely lost. They're like a millimeter long.
Oh, really?
No joke. Like, they actually do.
The answer's a table.
Okay.
It's not snakes with millimeter long legs, as much as I wish it was.
They're like lizards, except their legs are really, really short.
Really?
I really hope that someone didn't play a joke on me telling me that.
I do not believe that for a second. I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
Do snakes have miniature legs? Do snakes
We're throwing this out to you.
listening
to this?
miniature
Let us
legs? Or we'll just Google it now. Haha! Some snakes, such as pythons, retain tiny vestiges of legs in the form of two small bumps on either side of their pelvis.
know. That's not what you meant.
That is exactly what I meant.
Okay. Okay.
I promise.
Okay.
I didn't get the riddle right, but
No,
I told you an
no.
exciting fact.
You did. Facts are fun. We love education.
We do. Haha, like I gotta stop the joke.
Okay. What has 13 hearts but no other organs?
A scientific lab. Card deck.
Yep. Nice. You're really excited about that.
Yeah. It's because the time was wrong.
Yeah.
It was really stressful.
It stalks the countryside with ears that can't hear. What is it?
I want to say potato, but they have eyes, not ears.
Do they stalk the countryside? Have you ever seen
They
a
grow on stalks in the
Oh,
countryside.
no.
They don't.
They go on the ground, don't they?
Yeah.
Corn.
Corn.
Oh, that's
See?
yeah.
I
You were
knew it was a
you were on
vegetable.
the right track. I'll give you that. What kind of coat is best put on wet? Well, that's
Wet coat.
yeah.
What?
Answer right now.
A towel bath. A bath
A towel bath. It's paint.
Oh.
What has a bottom at the top? You already
Legs.
asked. Yeah. Well, I think that was a record for speed.
Yeah. No, David, I answered before
Yeah,
you said
you're
it.
right. You're right.
Funny.
Math
I like
riddles. Oh, I got that right. Yeah. What 5-letter word becomes shorter when you add 2?
that. I feel like there's more. There's no question mark at the end. 2 letters to it. Stop and reset because that
No.
wasn't fair. What 5-letter word becomes shorter?
You've had 15. You've had almost 20 seconds now.
Shh. It's
You have to say.
5-en.
It's short, right? Yeah. Becomes shorter when you add er.
For some reason I was like, the word 5. 5 is the word and you have to add 2 letters to 5.
What?
I know.
What made you?
I have no idea.
No.
Situations of extreme stress like this, just
Just gotta
sometimes.
breathe. Just gotta breathe.
It's my heart.
Your heart.
Okay.
Would you
Would you
rather
rather?
questions? Oh, this might be fun.
Okay.
I'm extending
You
this section
have
to
to-
be
you-
would you rather.
You have to.
Click on it. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say scroll down so I can see the whole question, but click
No.
on it too. Oh, okay.
Okay. Here, these might be
It's
quite
not really
interesting.
educational, but that's fun.
I mean, the education's about to hit you like
the
a train.
education is you have to analyze art argument style.
I don't know what my argument style is.
Chaos.
So. Oh. Okay.
Okay, what one?
Would you rather have everyone you know be able to read your thoughts, or for everyone you know to have access to your internet history?
Internet history.
Me too.
Yeah.
Surely my internet history would be included in my
Yeah,
thoughts.
for sure.
That's a stupid question.
Okay.
What a
your
bad
go.
choice by me.
Would you rather swim in oh, that's easy. Swim in a pool full of Nutella or a pool full of maple syrup?
Definitely maple syrup.
Nutella, for sure.
Maple syrup's less less thick, so you can swim through it. Are you talking about eating it or swimming in it?
Just like, like when you go to the pool and you just like chill and swim.
Yeah, maple because
This
Nutella's
is-
thick.
This is where Nick gets excited about pools again and tells you to drink water
Drink
and your
water.
tea.
Drink water and tea. If you have tea, daily podcast reminder. If you have tea that you've forgotten about, go drink it now. You're so welcome.
Yeah. Obviously Nutella, because it'll stick to you less. Because it's like
Nutella's so
lumpy.
sticky.
Whereas maple syrup, like there's 100% it will
Also, you
cover
couldn't
all of
see
you.
anything coming towards you through the water if you're in Nutella because it's.
There's no sharks in this pool.
How do you know?
Because it's a pool. Okay, my go.
Would you rather?
I've got one. Would you rather be 11 feet tall or 9 inches tall?
Definitely in 9 inches, because, and hear me out here, I'm leading up to a joke. I would.
Thanks for that signposting.
You need to know that because otherwise people will stop listening. So what I would do, I'd become 9 inches tall, right?
Mm.
And then I would learn to play the piano,
Mm.
like really
By
well,
jumping.
like world famous level piano, maybe a small piano,
Mm.
maybe a tiny little
Mm.
piano. And then you know what I'd label myself as?
Mm.
The 9-inch pianist.
That's terrible. No.
The 9-inch
so
pianist.
Disappointed in you.
That's...
Next.
I love that joke so much. It never fails to make me laugh.
Small things amuse small minds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Small things and more smooth small pianists.
You okay?
Oh yeah. Would you rather always be 10 minutes late or 20 minutes early?
20 minutes early.
Yeah.
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 Because you don't get in trouble for
Although-
20 minutes early. Whereas if
or-
you're 10 minutes late for a plane, you're gone ski.
Not really. Planes are usually pretty delayed. I mean, no one's getting on a plane right now.
True.
Anywhere.
I reckon they're pretty on time because there's nothing
That's
to
true.
delay them.
But there's no one getting there.
It's true. Okay. Would you rather get a paper cut every time you turn a page or bite your tongue every time you eat?
That's
Oh,
horrible.
they both
That's terrible.
suck.
Both. I love pain.
Masochism.
Masochism.
What?
Masochism.
My
Educational.
Yeah. My editing skills improved
They
slightly.
have.
Mhm.
We think. We hope.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We
Probably
made a
not.
couple of words pop up.
We made words pop. Words did do popping.
Mm-hmm.
We also put a picture in there into our last one. That was crazy.
Mm.
Picture of Luna Park.
Mm. Mm.
Very, very, very cool.
Okay, so answer.
Paper cut because you have to eat. But you don't necessarily have to turn pages.
Yeah, okay.
You
In
could
this
use
day
an
of
iPad.
an internet,
Exactly,
yeah.
that's my point. You could switch to ebooks. You could
Nice.
switch to listening to podcasts
Even
instead of
better.
reading books. Like, I don't know, there's a pretty cool one I've heard of. It's called like yeah, something like that.
This one sucks. Would you rather sip gin with Ryan Reynolds or shoot tequila with Dwayne the Rock Johnson?
Neither.
Truth or dare? No. We're not at that level.
Not yet.
It's episode
We're not
2.
desperate, it is.
Do you want to go back to riddles or do some more of these?
Up to you.
Okay.
Riddles? Okay,
because
we'll do a
we're
few more
keeping
riddles.
that educational thing.
Sure.
I'll do one for you.
Okay.
Word riddles. Okay. I'm at the beginning of... Oh, no, that's easy.
Letter E.
What 4-letter word can be written forward, backwards, or upside down and still be read from left to right?
What 4-letter word can be written forward, backwards, or upside down? Don't be read. That's hard. I think.
And what?
Fuck. Sorry, kids. You might have to pick-
Noon.
Oh.
That's cool.
That's very cool. I thought it was a trick, but
Yeah,
it literally is just symmetry.
Yeah.
That's cool. I asked you that one.
Yeah. So, forward I am heavy, but backwards I am not. What am I? And it says the word not.
But it's actually ton, right?
Yeah.
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 What is... Okay.
We read one the other day and it said it was heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the word heavy, which is really
which was
stupid.
incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a word of letters 3. Add 2 and fewer there will be. What word am I?
Oh, Re is what I say.
That's exactly the same riddle as the first one I asked you. The word's few. Fewer. It's exactly the same.
So, Lana. But also, look at that one above. What is 3/7 chicken, 2/3 cat, and 2/4 goat? A half, maybe? But Chicago.
2/4 goat, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's each of the
well,
letters.
yeah. Interesting.
I have a riddle for you.
Yep.
What can you type that has no sound?
What can you type that has no sound? I have no idea.
Space.
That's a good transition.
Uh-huh.
Because today's educational segment... Nice.
Thanks. I made it up on the spot.
That was very cool.
Thanks.
I enjoyed that. Today it's my turn to talk about something.
That's his clap count.
Clap. And that was probably... Look how loud that was. I'm going to talk about space. And I'm going to talk specifically about space flight and what it does to your body. And I think it's a really interesting topic. And there were a few articles I found just earlier today. 2 of them specifically I'm going to talk about. And if you're wondering, Nick, what the hell is this shirt? Well, I'll tell you what the hell this shirt is. We went to a party that had a theme, and
Dynamic duos.
Dynamic duos, and I went as Wally and she went as Eve. And in Wally,
Eva.
all the people become really thick because they've been in space for so long. And I decided this would be the appropriate shirt to wear for this particular episode. If you're listening to this and not watching, it's a yellow shirt with some terribly drawn Wally. Well, actually, it's quite well drawn.
Yeah.
Some of it. The
permanent markers are like very splotchy, but
it is very splotchy.
It's very well done for what it is.
The Wally bit's really
good. The Wally's great.
It is good. I wonder who did that. It was you.
I don't remember. Okay.
It was you.
Thanks.
So, there's 2 studies that I thought were really interesting. And the first one was from this year.
Okay.
Actually, only...
420.
Yep, thanks. It was only published 12 days ago. Today being the 26th, and when it was published being the 14th of April. And the title of this article is Long-Term Space Flights Can Cause Lasting Changes to the Brains and Eyes of Astronauts. And the background for this is that a lot of astronauts, when they go to space, a lot of research has been focused very much on the brain, well, not even the brain, the heart, the bones and the muscles, so like muscle atrophy and stuff like that. But not a lot of research has been done, despite the fact that a lot into the eyes and the brain, despite the fact that a lot of astronauts have reported having vision impairment, loss, short distance especially, after returning.
Really? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool thing about vision loss that I learned about in science last year was that when you have lots of G-forces, as it spins faster because the blood can't get to the rods and cones in your eyes, you start seeing in black and white before you pass out.
Something really interesting about vision loss, which I hadn't even remembered until you said that. You can have someone who is blind, legally blind, because they have damage in their optic, or their primary visual, or their visual cortex. So anywhere from back of your brain, it extends out. There's like V1 to V6, and then a few other bits. If you have damage in that area of your brain, depending on where it is, you won't be able to see, or you won't be able to see certain things. But you could have a person, hypothetically, with damage to V1, which is the primary visual cortex, who couldn't see anything, but their rods and cones and their eyes are still perfectly... The damage is not at the eyes, and it's not at the optic radiation, which are the nerves which go back to the brain. It's only at the back of the brain.
So do you need to have V1 to have V2, 3, 4, 5,
yes,
6?
I believe
so. If you had V4 damaged, do you have 1, 2, 3?
I think it starts from V1, but then it might branch out. So I'm not sure if V2 leads to V3, leads to V4.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure exactly. But I know that damage in V1 is pretty bad. Anyway, you could have someone with damage there, anywhere in the visual cortex. Let's say that they have enough damage in various areas that they're completely blind. What they see is black. They can't see anything. But there's another part of the brain called and this is where I completely forget, but I'm trying to remember. Superior Colliculus, I believe. Okay. That's what it is. Cool. It's Superior Colliculus, and it's superior.
That's definitely what I was gonna guess.
Yeah.
I was gonna say brainstem, and then I was gonna say neuron.
It's.
Then I was gonna say axon because you used that as Scrabble the other day. And
I did use
a little bit salty.
It was a great word.
Okay.
It was a great word.
Came second.
I came first. By a significant margin. Anyway, so there's an area of the brain, little boy, called the superior colliculus. It's attached to the inferior colliculus, and the only reason they're named that way is because superior colliculus relates to vision and inferior relates to hearing. And people, when they named it, decided that vision was superior to hearing as a sense. That's the only reason.
How crazy are bats? Like
I'm going to keep going.
Scream at each other.
Yeah, they are cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And, like, you think that everything has eyes, but, like I've nearly said to you so many times, like, isn't it amazing how we evolved to, like, eyes are the superior way of detecting things?
Yeah.
But it's not true.
It's not at all.
Like, you think about anglerfish and stuff down in the depths of the ocean, and then bats who just yell.
They do yell. And dolphins. Dolphins yell.
Yeah, that's true.
Boo, boo, boo. I think next episode should be on dolphins.
Yeah,
we should speak it in dolphin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my
I don't think
name is Alanna.
Okay. That's enough of that bit.
Can we cut it?
No.
Superior colliculus.
Superior colliculus. And that part of the brain is not directly connected to the visual cortex, or at least it's not reliant on the visual cortex to function. So you can have someone who's completely blind and only sees black. I should also say the colliculus, superior and inferior, is to do with reflexes. So dodging out of the way. So you could have someone who's got damage in the visual cortex, who has not an undamaged superior colliculus, and you could swing something in their face, and they would flinch.
No way.
But they wouldn't know why because they wouldn't be able to see it. How cool is that?
That's amazing. That's so cool.
It's very cool.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah. So that's unrelated, but...
Me trying to seem like I know just as much about vision. I don't. He knows a lot more than me. But at night you see in black and white, and that's really cool.
That's true.
I think that's amazing.
It's because of
they need to
rods and
put
cones.
as much effort into seeing rather than seeing colour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
movement rather than colour. Yeah. It's very interesting. So, back to space and astronauts. This first study, although it's the most recent one that I'm going to talk about, it's less broad. It's very general. It's very focused. It's very it's honed in on this one disorder which they've discovered that astronauts get when they go to space, which is called spaceflight associated neuroocular syndrome, known as SANS, S-A-N-S. And basically that leads to
SANS hearing. Oh damn, this isn't about hearing.
It's about vision.
SANS seeing.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks.
So they can have impaired short distance vision, headaches, and see floating blurry spots. And those blurry spots are called scotomas, which is quite a cool word.
Interesting.
Kind of sounds like ScoMo. Scomomas. It's little Scott Morrison's type of vision. Can we put that in the video?
Yeah, okay, cool.
So, this study collected data from 11 astronauts, and 10 of them were males, 1 was female. And they were long-term residents, I guess residents is the word, on the ISS, the International Space Station. Fun fact, we saw the International Space Station a few nights ago.
Oh, that was really, really cool. It was like dull, and then it went really, really bright.
And then it like flashed out.
And then, yeah, like got brighter, and then just stopped being bright.
It was very, very cool. Yeah, so these are people who lived on the ISS for a period of time, and the average for the 11 was 171 days. Yep. And 5 of them had previously been into space before, so 6 of them hadn't. The way that they did it is they took MRIs, magnetic resonance images, MRIs. Mm-hmm. You've heard the word before. Before and after spaceflight, at intervals of a period of days after they got back and before. So I think they went I haven't actually got it written down, but they went 5 days after, 10 days after, a few months after, a year after, something like that. And they found some very, very interesting results. The overall volume of the brain increased, particularly the white matter, and also the volume of cerebrospinal fluid.
Did the density increase?
Volume
Or did it, like, expand?
That's the problem.
So, yeah,
That's
so
what
the
they're
densities... saying. Yeah, I was just wondering if they, like, grew more because they're up there.
No, they expand the volume, by about 2% for both the white matter, or just the brain cells, and the CSF, which is the cerebrospinal fluid. If you don't know what CSF is, it basically is this wonderful mix of water and other things. Very scientific.
And that's the end of the description.
And it functions as a kind of cleaning service for your brain. It goes around your brain. I know what you're about to say. It goes around your brain and it flushes out a lot of bad things, basically. And the way that it does that is let's just keep going.
One of the future podcasts, you're so welcome. One of the future podcasts is going to be about sleep, and they found out recently that when you're asleep, waves of this fluid come through your brain, sort of like an ocean, whereas if you're not, like, deeply asleep, or if you haven't been asleep long enough, they don't come through in waves, they just take away bits, and if they don't come through in waves, they can't clean it out, and then you're more likely to get Alzheimer's. So, sleep well.
Sleep well. Mm-hmm. And drink water.
Yes.
Sleep well and drink water.
And have your tea that might be cold.
Have your tea that might be cold.
I feel like people make tea when we say tea at the beginning. Maybe. And then now, so we need to remind it twice. Yeah.
Drink your tea.
Yeah.
Excellent. Or coffee. Coffee's good. I love coffee. Or water. Just drink your water.
Yeah.
Just live your life. You know? Don't do what we tell you to do. Unless you want to. Yeah. So CSF, it's a cleaning service for your brain, basically, and it flows through things called ventricles. These are holes in the middle of your brain. There's 4 of them. The third one's really small. That was just a fun fact. I don't know if it was necessary. And so they noted more cerebrospinal fluid flowing throughout the brains of the astronauts post-flight, so when they'd come back to the Earth, and that those changes appeared to remain constant for the entire duration of the post-flight study, which went for at least a year, as far as I remember. So the changes were permanent, it seemed, which is really interesting, because you'll see why and when I talk about the next study. Another thing is that 6 of the 11 astronauts, so a bit over 50%, had a change in the shape of their pituitary gland, which we talked about last episode, in the HPA axis, cortisol. Mm-hmm. Remember that? The pituitary is a big control center which releases hormones. Those hormones tell things to make things, basically, around your body. It can influence a lot of things. It is especially connected to the thyroid and to the adrenal gland on the kidneys. So, and the shape of this pituitary gland, they've noticed might actually indicate an increase in the pressure of fluid within the brain, and that fluid increase could be one of the causes of SANS, which is that space-flight-associated neuroocular syndrome that we talked about before, which is really interesting. But one of the researchers said at the end, it's considering the fact that there are people who have increased brain pressure on Earth and don't experience this syndrome, it's likely a combination of other things plus this. But they don't know enough about that yet to definitively say. But it's just interesting that, people who have been in space for less than 200 days experience such major changes in their physiology and their brain.
Yeah, isn't the trip to Mars like something like 200 days?
200 both ways. Plus the time on Mars, something like that. So there's going to have to be a lot of research before we send anyone out there, I think. Anyway, moving on. So the next article, which is a lot more in-depth, but it's really interesting. This one was done last year, almost a year to the day before the previous one that I talked about. It was done on April 12th last year. And it was a twin studies experiment. If you don't know what twin studies are, if you study psychology or you've ever touched psychology, you'll know what they are, because they're very important. Have you just touched psychology? Basically, they're used in the study predominantly of epigenetics, because what epigenetics is a change in gene expression based on the environment that you're in. And twin study methodologies are things where you take twins, usually identical if you can, but twins who have been separated by some factor. So either at birth, it's possible that's happened before, where they find identical twins who are separated at birth and see what they're like 12 years later, 15 years later, 18 years later, and how different they are. And so then they can say or infer that any changes between them, because they're identical twins, are due to the environment influencing how their genes express themselves, right? That's what a twin study is, and that's what epigenetics is. So that's covered two things. And basically, this twin study was Scott Kelly and Mark Kelly. Scott Kelly is an astronaut. Mark Kelly was retired, but he was also an astronaut in his time, which is quite interesting, I think.
Maybe that was coded in the DNA.
Exactly. Have you heard about the two identical twins separated at birth who both ended up becoming serial killers?
No.
That happened.
Wow.
Well, maybe we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
But if you know that, good job. Good job. Yeah. So Scott and Mark, and there were about 10 separate studies conducted in this blanket twin study that they did. And so in the article, in the report that they wrote, they said some of the challenges they expected them to face included influences from noise, isolation, hypoxia and disrupted circadian rhythm, exposure to ionizing radiation, and weightlessness. So most of these, like I said last time, a lot of things are focused on the heart and on the body and on the muscles and the brain, on the bones. And that's what a lot of this is. It's about circadian rhythm, like sleep and all that sort of thing. But what this article found was that spaceflight, while it does cause significant changes, it tends to not be permanent. They tend to disappear within a few months of returning to Earth when you're looking at these specific things. So some of the things that they found that changed was a damage to the DNA, which is directly related to the next point, which is it impacted the way that thousands of individual genes express themselves. And that's epigenetics for you. Because these genes, because one of them went to space and one of them stayed on Earth, the one who went to space, his gene expression was altered because of the environment that he was in. And primarily, it turned on genes related to telomere growth. Telomeres are they're caps, and they go on the end of your chromosomes, and they prevent them from unraveling, basically, I think. And that's telomeres can be used as a marker of a biological marker of age and also some diseases.
Could chromosomes unravel because of like gravity?
I have no idea.
Like
probably at a point.
Because that would be interesting that it recognizes that there's less gravity.
Yeah. I'm not sure why it did, but so it turned on genes related to telomere growth, also collagen production, immune system response, and DNA repair. And although these changes occurred very soon after he got into space, they also disappeared very soon after he returned to Earth, which is very interesting, I think. And they also dramatically increased about halfway through his stay. So about 6 times the amount of changes occurred in this gene expression, gene epigenetic aspects of what he was affected. That was a terrible sentence. I'm going to start again.
I just nodded.
About 6 times more changes in gene expression were experienced in the second 6 months of his mission than the first 6 months.
Oh, wow.
6 times more. But of all those changes, about 90% of them returned to normal after a few months of his return to Earth, which is really interesting. So only 10% stayed that way.
Did they stay that way forever, or did they all return?
Up until the end of the study, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's the epigenetics. Then we'll talk also about telomeres, because not only did it increase the production of telomeres, it also increased the length of them. And because they can serve as biomarkers of accelerated aging and some health risks like cardiovascular and cancer, they found that in normal people they shrink, I believe. Generally, they shrink.
Over age?
Over age.
Okay.
Scots, they didn't shrink. They expanded significantly by quite a lot.
Oh, so you can live forever if you go to space.
No, but when you return to Earth, they drastically shortened within 2 days.
They're even shorter than they were before. Oh, gosh.
I believe so.
So just run away to Earth. Elope to Mars.
Yeah, just elope to Mars. That's the license. Do it. That's what we're going to do. Next episode 3, coming to you from Mars.
No, it'll be coming from the very, very long flight to
Mars.
Mars.
Yeah. Expect to hear from us in about 200 days from the surface. Some more things. These are more physiological than genetic, but thickened artery walls, the carotid artery, the one that supplies blood from your heart to your brain, big boy. It became a lot thicker, and that thickness is associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease and stroke within 10 years, which is really actually quite concerning considering he wasn't up there for that long.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that one changed when he came back or not.
Okay.
I didn't see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard of that's not that interesting. These last 2 points that they brought up in this study are both, at the end of the study, there was a big disclaimer that basically said, no, this could just be due to the fact that they were eating and stressed. Eating space astronaut food and stress. So the first one is gut bacteria. So the microbiomes in your gut was a lot different in space than it was. But they said they eat vacuum packaged food. I'm
curious. So you mentioned that it's a twin study.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these sound like something that could happen to anyone. Why was it interesting? Why was it good that it was specifically twins?
Because one of them went to space and one of them stayed on Earth.
But one had already been to space.
Yeah, but a long time ago.
Yeah.
So they took baselines.
Mm.
They weren't measuring them against each other or measuring how much they changed against each other.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So one of them, yeah. And it's interesting because they're identical twins.
Yeah.
And so any change could...
You would imagine that his, telomeres would shorten the same amount, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the other one, added to the microbiome probably just being due to the fact that they eat different food, is increased inflammation in response to basic anything, like you get when you're stressed. And one of the notes on the report just said, well, actually spaceflight is quite stressful. Maybe it was that. So maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But that was...
What was... Oh, yeah. When you mentioned the serial killer thing, what was one of them still with their family? Like, cause
I don't remember. All I remember is
because if they're in bad situations, then you're probably more likely to become a serial killer.
Yep.
And if you're separated at birth, you're probably not in the best situation.
Yeah.
So...
I agree. I agree. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
It is. We were discussing the other day about what would happen if you left babies in a room together.
You were discussing.
We were discussing it. No.
Okay, yeah, we were.
I was just slightly more encouraging of the idea of doing it. No. I don't think the babies should be locked in a room together for 12 years. Although it would be very interesting. Talking about serial killers.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, no, but basically that some people think that language is encoded in our DNA. So if you locked babies in a room with no... Well,
in Rome.
In a room. In a room.
Room. In Rome.
Yes, in a room.
If you locked babies in
a
Rome.
room.
In a room in Rome. In a room in a room.
Yes.
Yep.
If you locked baby roos in a room in Rome. I couldn't think of any other words.
No. Rude baby roos
roaming
in a room
roos.
Roaming rude roos in a room in Rome.
Nice.
Thanks.
Roaming rude roos in a room in Rome. I like that.
Thanks.
The next episode will be about tongue twisters.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah, that'd
Maybe
be fun.
the next one will be
Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch.
Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. I hope you're enjoying listening to this.
Yeah, it's an ASMR channel.
It is.
Irish wristwatch. Okay, that's enough. But some people believe that language is encoded in our DNA. So whether babies who had no external influence of language would actually develop their own language in the DNA. And then Nick was saying that, well, maybe, because epigenetics, they think that some things have to be, unlocked by certain events for them to become encoded in your DNA.
I think that.
So... Basically, without hearing language, they wouldn't start
Correct.
speaking.
They wouldn't think to make noises that conveyed anything except raw emotion. Like animals do. Ooh, ah. Like that. That's a monkey.
But then why do we develop language in the first place? Who is God?
This religious podcast...
Brought to you by King and Country.
King and Country, yeah, nice.
Yes, thank you. The one Christian rock band I know.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Do you have more to do with your...
No, that was the end of my space talk. I just thought it was really interesting, and I think there's a lot more stuff on the effect of spaceflight on people out there that I saw that I didn't talk about, because I was trying to keep it below 2 hours. Those were just 2 articles I thought were really interesting.
So, moving on. We're going to go up to the favourite game at the end. Onion versus real life.
We need a name for this segment.
Okay.
A really good name. About onions and life.
Life is like onion.
Life layers.
Yeah. The layers of life.
No. We'll have it. We'll have a name by next episode, or maybe in editing. If we editing, name on the screen right now with a sound effect. Really.
And if there's no name, you know we didn't work out one.
You know we didn't work on it. Chances are there won't be a name there.
Yes.
Okay. You know the rules.
I know the rules.
If you listen to the previous podcast, if you don't, or you didn't,
you should.
I mean,
just go back, otherwise you won't get the rules.
It's only one episode. We haven't got hundreds to listen to. It's not like trying to catch up on Joe Rogan. Basically,
yes.
I read an article name, an article title, a headline, and Alanna here has to guess whether it's a real article or an article written by The Onion, a satirical news website. Alright, and you know what? If you want to guess at home, I will tell you what the answer is. You can feel free to play along.
Comment your answers down below. Hit like and subscribe.
Hit the bell.
Bell?
The bell. Notifications
bell?
on.
Oh!
Ding! Hit the bell.
Yes.
Like and subscribe. If this video doesn't get 8 million likes,
I don't know what's
nothing's
going to
gonna happen.
No.
Alright. Article, headline, number 1. Are you ready? CIA realizes it's been using black highlighters all these years.
That's fake, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and how funny
but
is
that's
it?
excellent. That's so funny.
I like that one a lot.
Have you seen the Taylor Swift is the censored? What was that document that came out that was censored recently? I don't remember. What
I
it
don't
was.
remember either.
No, but it was like a big scandal
Yeah.
document, and it was Taylor Swift, her outfits. So
Yeah.
like one was like you could read the top half of the page and the black, so she's
Yeah.
wearing a white shirt and then a black skirt,
That's hilarious.
and then like
Yeah,
stripes. Yeah. Maybe
No, I
she
didn't
was
see that.
just pretending to be an exam
CIA officer.
workbook.
Maybe.
It's very fun.
Okay, I've decided that to give people listening a chance to guess, 5 seconds between when I say it and when we guess, or when I give you the answer at least.
Okay.
Okay? Because otherwise, pause it.
This isn't a time filler.
Not at all. Thanks for pointing it out. Alright. Netflix algorithm suggests viewers who enjoyed Ozark will like pretty much anything. I haven't seen that show, by the way.
Neither have I. My parents said it was really good though.
Oh.
Yeah.
This algorithm seems to think that they have no taste.
Well.
Real or fake? Real or fake?
Fake.
Correct.
Yes.
2 from 2.
Thank you.
100% so far.
100%.
So far, 100%. Alright.
100%.
Trump dedicates golf trophy to hurricane victims. They get really difficult when we get into politics.
When we get into Trump.
They get really difficult.
Yes.
Because anyone else, you would say satire.
Yeah.
Instantly.
He really loves golf.
Does he love hurricane victims enough to even include them in his golf, though?
That's true. Cool video I watched yesterday as I try and figure out a answer to this was it's a TED talk about chimpanzee behavior in
That was an excellent video.
politicians.
We watched it together.
It was very good. And basically chimpanzees, like alpha male chimpanzees, are I was pretending to hug you and console you from your loss, but that's okay. I actually genuinely was, because apparently, like, it was a picture of Obama comforting a hurricane victim, and then it was, like, the exact same photo as a chimpanzee comforting another chimpanzee that got beat up.
Yeah, it was a very good video. If
cool.
you're interested, the name of it was...
The link is here.
And if you're one of the people who isn't watching the video...
I forgot that.
The name of the video is coming to you soon. You can still answer this question, by the way, if you want to.
What was the question? Oh, yeah, Trump. I reckon it's true.
You think it's true? You think you think that really happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was, like, the biggest gesture you could think of. Yeah.
You're right. It's true.
It's true.
It's a real article. And I will read it to you now.
Thank you.
President Trump... by the way, full disclosure, this was in 2017. I went through some very old articles to find some of these things, but they are still very funny. President Trump on Sunday dedicated a golf trophy to the victims of recent powerful hurricanes that tore through Texas, Florida, and Puerto Rico, all while defending the government's response to the disasters. Quote, on behalf of all the people of Texas and all the people, and all of the people, that's a general, just every single person. If you look today and see what is happening, how horrible it is, but we have it under really great control. Puerto Rico and the people of Florida who have really suffered over a short period of time with the hurricanes. I just want to remember them, the president said. And we're going to dedicate this trophy to all those people that went through so much that we love. A part of our great state, really part of our great nation, he continued. Trump's remark were made as he presented the trophy to US captain Steve Strickler following the President's Cup golf tournament in New Jersey.
Wow. Now that's honourable.
Honourable is the word I was going to say too.
Yes. You were meant to find, the video name.
The title is The Surprising Science of Alpha Males.
By Franz de Waal.
Yep, so check that out if you're interested.
The other video I was referencing earlier is called Sleep is Your Superpower.
Yes,
also a TED.
Another TED Talk, both excellent.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
Thanks.
another one. Fox News defends its COVID lies, saying the First Amendment protects false speech.
Onion.
True.
No. And how? How
True.
could the First Amendment protect false speech?
Because it's freedom of speech. Fox News has moved to dismiss a lawsuit filed by a Washington state group accusing the network of deceptive coronavirus coverage by arguing that the First Amendment protects false and outrageous speech.
Wow, I would listen to a news channel
News
that
that
calls
says that?
itself false and outrageous.
Yep. So that one was true. If you got that right, I'm very impressed because I, even after reading it,
I
still
forgot
thought
to
it was
wait
an
5
Onion
seconds.
article.
I forgot to wait 5 seconds.
We basically waited. We took 5 seconds to figure it out. Another one. I love this one because it's not political. It's just an excellent headline.
That's good.
Not women. I don't think there's more than one in the world who has this condition. Women's attraction to chandeliers, not a sexual orientation, IPSO says. I have to look up what the IPSO is. I have no idea.
Independent Press Standards Organization.
It might be that.
Or
Anyway,
maybe a laundry company.
it could
Not
be a
sure.
laundry company, but I don't know what they would. I
Probably
don't think that
press.
they would have control over what people could marry or have sexual orientations towards.
But what if you were just really crushing on their laundry?
Not a chandelier.
That's true. Maybe they also launder chandeliers. It's actually money laundering.
Just pure money laundering.
I
Do you
really
think-
enjoy the show Good Girls on Netflix. I enjoyed that a lot. It's
Is that the one with Andrew Reynolds in it? Or is that
no.
something else?
That's
Is that
something
no?
else.
It's just girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about these like very suburban housewives,
Mm.
who get involved in like serious crime. It's really funny.
That sounds. I feel
Good.
like.
I think I
mentioned
told
it
you
to me,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
sexual orientation, attraction to chandeliers.
I reckon there is a woman who has a sexual orientation of who has sexual attraction to
Yeah.
chandeliers.
Mhm.
Do I think that she wanted to call it a sexual orientation? Yes. Because
So you're saying.
she doesn't want to be discriminated against.
So you're saying it's true.
No. Because I don't think a news out. Wait, what was the phrasing of it again?
Women's attraction to chandeliers, not a sexual orientation, IPSO says.
Yeah, I don't think that a press organization would have to like address that. Like, I don't think she went to that much extent, like complaining that they would have to be like, no, I need to tell everybody you cannot marry your chandelier.
That's sound reasoning.
Thanks.
It's a real article. It's not even a small
It's like
news
a-
outlet. It's on The Guardian.
Well,
So,
I'm glad our news is
as
useful.
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Spend your time watching this podcast and you'll learn a lot more than the news.
True.
From the news.
Actually,
next episode we will read the news to
we'll
you.
read the news to you for an hour.
We're doing a lot next episode.
Are we?
We're doing time
We're going to Mars.
We're going to Mars.
We're starting our Mars journey. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna happen.
When we're reading the news.
And we're reading the news.
I guess our Mars journey's long, so it can be
it's
long.
long. I reckon we could read the news in tongue twister form.
Oh, that'd be fun.
2 birds, 1 stone. Or as the vegans say, feed 2 birds with 1 scone.
Scone. I like to say scone. I like to say ston.
Ston. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
I like to say scone.
Yeah, me too. I like scone as well, but it rhymes with stone when you say scone.
Scone.
Scomo.
Bone. Feed 2 dogs with 1 bone.
But they don't... Yeah, that works. But, yeah. Alright.
Satisfy 2 sadists with 1 moan. I think
next
that's the best
head.
one
That is quite good.
Thanks.
I'm going to keep going with these because I think they're amazing.
Okay, yeah, go.
Woman gives birth during car crash, then can't find the baby.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I saw it, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and then I found it under the seat.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I meant 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Oh, yes, I believe that is correct, sir.
You're so welcome if you're listening that we just gave you the time to answer that. Rather than answering it instantly and then waiting 5 seconds.
Well, they might have thought I was lying.
But I said it, yes. Which I guess you could pin it on me then. Here's a cracker, and very relevant to the podcast genre. This is a quote.
Educational podcasts are incredible.
Educational and funny ones
Perhaps.
might be even better.
True. I think that's true.
True?
True.
It's true.
Yes.
Now this one. So people could be listening to this conversation right now, asks Joe Rogan, trying to understand Edward Snowden's explanation of surveillance.
I'm not going to lie.
Hmm.
Don't really know who Joe Rogan is. I've heard his name.
He has a very, very famous podcast. Probably the most famous podcast.
What's it called?
The Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh.
And...
What is it like?
Not as good as this.
Oh, true. But, like, what's its genre?
He gets guests on and talks to them.
Oh, so it's like a...
It's an interview podcast.
Yeah, like Graham Norton and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Can you say that again?
So people could be listening to this conversation right now, asks Joe Rogan, trying to understand Edward Snowden's explanation of surveillance.
I think they wanted to make it a hit podcast because Rogan almost rhymes with Snowden. So
the thing at question here isn't whether Edward Snowden was on Joe Rogan's podcast. It's whether Joe Rogan in that podcast, whilst broadcasting it to the world, said so people could be listening to this conversation right now. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
You think you said it?
True.
It's an onion. It's a very clever one. I like it a lot. That's why I picked it.
Wow, I'm not going so well this time.
No, I've stopped keeping score, but the score is going to come up there. And at home, what you need to do is you need to write it down on a piece of paper, hold it up in front of you, and then it's just like you're here.
Wow.
Write down your score on a piece of paper.
Congratulations, Frederica. You got 6.
And Ryan, you got 8. Good job. How many have we done?
What?
How many have we done?
I don't know.
Well, you got 8, Ryan. Good job.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you.
If it's over the amount we've done, it's because...
It's because you're amazing.
Yeah.
And you should keep listening.
Mm.
Alright, I'm going to do 2 more. I think 2 more is a good number.
Mm.
And then we might stop.
May.
Maybe
Yeah,
we won't stop at all.
May never stop.
Maybe we'll never stop.
Live stream.
World's first infinitely long podcast. Doesn't that sound fun?
I want to live to infinity.
Yeah.
And beyond.
I wouldn't. Maybe we can talk about that in another episode.
That would be fun.
Arguments for and against. Because the argument against is much stronger than the argument for, in my opinion.
I think it's much stronger.
Okay. Driver clocked at 120 miles per hour on a toll road. Tells troopers he didn't stop because he thought they wanted to race.
It's probably true.
120 miles an hour.
Oh wow, miles. That's fast.
Miles. We're in Australia. We do things a little differently here. Oh wait,
Correctly.
no. Yeah, that's the inverse. If you're from America, you do things a little differently to everyone else.
Correct.
Everyone else does the same thing. You do.
Correct. He's correct, but you're not.
You're not correct. No, you're not right.
No.
Remember when that space shuttle exploded? Because exploded? Was it a space shuttle?
Something. Yeah.
I think it was a space shuttle. I think it exploded
remember
because they converted metric to imperial wrong. So really, the imperial system is responsible for deaths. So 120 miles per hour driver telling officers he thought they wanted to race.
I think it's true.
You think it's true? It's true. Can you imagine? You're a driver. You're an idiot, obviously. But you're going 120 miles per hour and you see police officers behind you with their lights flashing.
Yeah.
And the first thought you have is, they must want to race.
The real question is, what drugs did he test positive for?
Yeah. Linking back to our
Speed.
last episode. Joke of the podcast.
We'd just like to clarify, he just high-fived me.
I hope... Is that going to become a running gag?
Yeah,
Every time there's
a...
It's me high-fiving you.
Oh!
You just video evidence. Alright, I said 2 more.
The
I've done
domestic
1.
violence hotline is... I'm being serious, though. If you are in domestic violence, please call this hotline.
Is it an international one or is it a state by state?
I am unsure.
Or country by country.
1-800-737-732.
1-800?
If you're watching and you can't
732.
have sound... Is that 7?
Do you really think someone sat through 40 minutes of this? Not being
Oh,
able
is
to
that the right
hear.
number?
Not being able to hear. Just watching. And then they got to this point and they didn't know what we were talking about. And then you did this. And they were like, oh, that's me. I need to call the domestic violence hotline.
I got it wrong, so...
Might be a sex line.
Maybe.
Probably not the best thing to call.
Call the second one.
Call the second one. Or don't, if you're not in that situation.
But do, if you are in that
But
situation.
if you are in the situation, do.
Yes.
One more.
One more.
I've got to pick a really good one.
Make it, as I said last time, the epitome,
The epitome
of
of
success.
success. Maybe that can be the name of this podcast. But I like COF.
Eos. Do you remember those lip balms? They were really good. They
No.
smelled good. I have one, but it lost all its smell. And it still works, but it's like...
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay. Social distancing for bears advised by wildlife advocates. Did you hear that?
social distancing for bears advised by wildlife advocates.
Advocates. Yes.
True. Because advocates for wildlife are kind of insane.
If you're an advocate for wildlife, please keep listening. You're not insane.
Some advocates for wildlife
Some, but
are
not
kinda
you.
insane.
Not you.
Quote
You're special.
Carol Baskin.
Yeah. You're right. It was true.
Yay.
I think that's hilarious.
That is hilarious. Can they even get it? Has it been proven?
Not
I know
if they
some
social
tigers
distance.
got it.
Yeah, I
And-
saw that.
Because some cats can get
But
it.
didn't they say dogs couldn't get it?
I think Pomeranians can.
Fucking Pomeranians. Stupid dogs. They're really cute. I
They're
like
really
them a lot.
cute.
All right. I think we've come to the end
Yeah.
of episode 2.
Just imagining.
What's the name of this episode? Space? I think I need some space. That's
Yeah,
the name of the
I
episode.
like that.
I like that too. Because I came up with it. And
Goodbye, and stay tuned for part 3.
and stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. Drink your tea.
Don't forget it.
You're meant to cough.